Greetings, adventurers. Welcome to Happy Trail Backpacking. Today we're going to talk a little bit about bug sprays and bug repellents and bug protection. Alright, today we're going to talk about insect repellent, bug sprays, and some ways that I use to make sure that I am comfortable and free of bugs and ticks when I'm out in the wilderness. Insect repellent and bug protection, protecting yourself from insects and bugs, is pretty important. It can often be overlooked, but when you get out in the wilderness without bug protection and the mosquitoes are swarming you and you can't seem to get relief, it can make your trip pretty miserable pretty quick. So it's important to make sure you're prepared and you know what kind of insect repellent you want to use and have with you when you go out into the wilderness. First of all, I'm not going to be talking about any lately a lot of new devices have come out, like sonic devices or like electrical devices that burn or like melt a material that repels insects. We're not going to be talking about those. I'm mainly going to be talking about insect sprays and lotions and stuff like that. A few of the main chemicals that they use in insect repellents are Picaridin, DEET, or lemongrass and eucalyptus. Those are the main choices you have, and then there's permethrin. Now, first of all, I'm not an expert. I'm just going to be talking about my own experiences that I've had using these products. I am not affiliated with any of them. I am not sponsored by any of them. This is just my own experience. So starting off with lemongrass and eucalyptus sprays and oils and stuff. I tried these a lot for a couple of years. It's a very good natural choice if you don't want to use any of the harsh chemicals. It's a all natural insect repellent. I do not like them. Every time I seem to use it, it would last for maybe 10 minutes and then I would find myself reapplying it. A simple little bottle like this, I could use this in a couple of trips, just constantly spraying myself with it. That's pretty much all I have to say about lemon and eucalyptus. I would never choose to actually buy it ever again because it doesn't really cut it. It did seem to work well for a good 10-15 minutes, but then, like I said, I just find myself reapplying it. Next up is Picaridin. This is a lotion. I think you can get them in sprays too, but this is a more it's still a chemical, but they get it from the pepper plant, the root of the pepper plant, and it's a little bit a little safer of a chemical than like DEET or permethrin. This works a little differently than some of the other ones. This one blocks your scent. It creates a barrier on your skin to block scent to the insects so they can't detect you. In my experience, this works about the same as the lemongrass and eucalyptus, maybe a tad bit better. But again, I always found myself reapplying it, and it didn't seem to be that effective. So then that leaves us with DEET. Most people know DEET because that's what's in most insect repellents, because it works so well. There are a few tricks about DEET. DEET is kind of a fairly harmful chemical. It is harmful to a lot of fabrics, so it will melt like maybe some nylons or polyester, and you can get like little tiny holes, or it makes it brittle so it breaks a lot. So that's why a lot of people don't like to use them, especially if you have expensive backpacking equipment that you're trying to take care of. Now, when you buy DEET, usually it will say a concentration of DEET. This one says DEET 25%. This one's also 25%. This one, Jungle Juice, is 100% DEET in liquid form. So this is how this works. DEET is effective up to 30%. So 30% would be the strongest possible DEET you could get. After 30%, it just lasts longer. So if you put on 30% DEET, and then if you put on 50% DEET, it will last longer than 30% DEET. But it won't necessarily be any stronger. Another thing about DEET, it also needs to be applied in a full layer. You can't just lightly spray yourself. You need to spray your arm and get a nice coating on your arm and let it dry that way. It needs that physical layer of chemical to block the insect from smelling you and detecting you and feeding on you. Alright, so we talked about the main three. Now last, but not least, permethrin. This is the secret weapon. So permethrin is a little different in that it's not a topical insect repellent like a spray or a lotion. This is a treatment that you want to treat your equipment and your clothes with. Before you head out in the wilderness, you can take your tent, your backpack, all the clothes you're going to wear, your shirt and your pants, and spray them all with permethrin. Take them outside and spray them all with this. Get them nice and wet, and then let them dry. Once they're dry, they're safe to wear. And it even says on here it's good for up to 6 weeks or 6 washes. So it lasts for a long time. I would even say I always treat my tent, my backpack, and my clothes at least once a year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. It really depends on how much you use them, wash them and stuff. I don't treat my tent and my backpack multiple times a year because I don't wash them, but at least once a year I do. 90% of the time when I go out backpacking or even hiking in the wilderness, I don't need any insect repellent. If I do, I carry this one right here. And then I'll just use it on my bare arms, bare legs, you know, maybe the back of my neck and my hair. And then my clothes are all protected with permethrin. And you notice it big time. If you go out with somebody else that's not treated with permethrin, you'll notice they're complaining a lot more than you are. So it works. And the US military uses this for the Army on their clothes, so you know it works. There's one more thing that none of these chemicals will cover or help you with, and it's my arch nemesis, the horsefly. Horseflies are a huge pain in the butt. they follow you everywhere. The only way that I have found to stop horseflies from following you, or bothering you at least, is wearing a hat or a bug net. A lot of times I usually carry this with me, but a lot of times I don't bring it with me, and a lot of times I regret it. I should carry this with me more often. But bug nets aren't very fun to wear. They're uncomfortable. You can't eat with them on. You can't drink with them on. But they weigh almost nothing. And they work 100% of the time. But to recap, what I use when I go out in the wilderness for bug protection is I treat my tent, my backpack, and my clothes with permethrin. I head out into the wilderness and I bring some DEET spray with me, and if I need, I will spray this on my bare arms and my legs, making sure to get a nice thick coating, and I'm always good.